Okay, so I figured I would talk about the idea that human beings are the top of the food chain, which is nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. The first reason, obviously, is that there is no top to a chain. Chains are an interconnected series of steel links. There's no top. Really, the word chain is just a word for a specific relationship amongst steel links that causes this structure. And really that's illuminating, because it shows that if there is a food chain, there is no top. Thus human beings are just a symbiotic, interconnected part of this vast web of biological systems that depend upon each other. So, it doesn't make any sense from the get-go. The second reason why it's obviously nonsense is because people get eaten by things all the time. Very obvious things. You hear stories of people get eaten by tigers and bears and sharks and crocodiles and wolves and wild dogs or whatever. I mean, people get eaten by people sometimes, right? So obviously it doesn't make any sense. But someone could say something like, well, our lifestyle has basically made this, it doesn't happen that much. It's a freak occurrence. It's a rare instance of, nature, red tooth and claw, something like that. People can just dismiss that like, well, that's rare, blah, blah, blah. And it being rare doesn't mean anything. It still, invalidates the claim. But let's go deeper. When mosquitoes bite you and when fleas bite you or ticks bite you, they're eating you. That's what they're doing. They're taking matter and structure and energy from you and using it for their own purposes. That's what they're doing. They're consuming you. But, I suppose it is possible for someone to somehow avoid being eaten by mosquitoes and ticks and fleas their whole life, I guess. But it is impossible not to be eaten by microbes. Alright? Microbes are always eating people, and no one is exempt from this. No one, not even Howard Hughes. You are always being consumed by microbes and viruses and bacteria. There are trillions of microbes living in and on your body that are not human cells. They are eating you. When you have a cavity in your tooth, that's microbes and bacteria consuming and wearing away your teeth. When you get an infection, that is microbes taking energy and structure from you and using it for their own purposes. They're consuming you. When you get the flu, and a virus works a little bit differently for people aware of those kind of things. A virus is much simpler and much more dastardly. But a virus is basically taking energy and structure from you and using it for its own purposes. There's no difference. When a microbe does this and a virus does this, there is no difference between when an alligator does it. It just looks a little bit different, but it's exactly the same process. Taking matter and energy from one source to be used in another source. That's what consumption is. You cannot escape this. This is the nature of existing in the community of life. It's part of life. It's not a bad thing. There is no top of the food chain. Life is good, the community of life is good, and we don't have to be so arrogant about it. Thank you.